you have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism.
The fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still
in
exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule.
South Carolina Senator and presidential candidate Tim Scott earlier this week arguing that America does not have systemic racism. His position stands in direct opposition to that of the majority of historians, including our next guest, who literally wrote the book on it. Dr. Ibram X. Kendi dissects the history of racist thought in America all the way from its founding in his book, Stamped from the Beginning. That book has now been released as a graphic novel. And Dr. Kendi joins us now. Reverend Al, I'll hand you the first question.
Kendi, let me ask you, as you watched that clip of Senator Scott, aside from the fact that you and I probably vehemently disagree with him, he really didn't answer the question. Because if there is systemic racism, naming a few people elected doesn't deal with the systemic problem, from the economic opportunities to lifestyle and all of that. Explain what systemic racism means. It doesn't mean you won't have some that will break through because others fought for them to break through, but it's a system that's set up that's different black to white.
Precisely. So when we understand racism, we should understand it as this collection of policies and practices that are leading to racial inequities and are substantiated by ideas of racial hierarchy. So what that means is you have Black people who are disproportionately impoverished or incarcerated. And so when we assess racism as a structural phenomenon, we're actually looking at groups of people. We're looking at communities. We're not looking at individuals. And I think Senator Scott wanted to focus on individuals because there certainly have been individuals who over the generations have been rising into positions that previous generations they would not have been able to. But at the same time, you have Black people who are their votes are being suppressed. Both are happening at the same time. You can have individuals rising into positions and communities still being excluded.
And when you look at 60 years since the March on Washington in '63, that we're having another one this year, Black home ownership and Black wealth is less now than it was in '63, and the comparison Black to white is almost 10 to 1. And on as you talked about criminal justice, voting and all. Do you think that Senator Scott is not raising these issues because to have to deal with these issues, he would have to then come with what is your economic plan? What is your plan in terms of criminal justice? He kind of ducks the issue of why you ought to be running for president by just saying, well, there's no systemic racism. And clearly, the devil's going to be in the details that he's going to have to debate what his economic plan, criminal justice plan, and others. Is he really seeming swift, but being very, very strategic in how he's dealing with this?
I think so, because if the issue is a structure, if the issue is racism, which is to say the issue is racist policies or bad policies that are specifically harming particular groups, then that calls for a presidential candidate to, as you stated, offer new, more corrective, better policies. But if racism does not exist, if policies are not the problem, and Black people are still being more likely to be killed by police or incarcerated or impoverished, then there's only one other explanation, which is that there's something wrong with Black people, and they're the problem. And what it also allows for is someone like Senator Scott to say, well, I'm not the problem like most Black people. I am hardworking, not like most Black people. I have risen because I'm taking personal responsibility, unlike most Black people. And many of his voters, that's precisely what they want to hear.
So, Dr. Kendi, let's talk specifically about the book, Stamped from the Beginning. There's a new graphic novel edition of it out, already a successful book over the last several years. For people who haven't read through or don't know the story, you have 5 intellectuals over the course of American history, among them Thomas Jefferson, W.E.B. Du Bois. What's the thread that ties them together in the story that you tell here?
The thread that ties them together is that each of these intellectuals were at really the center of this long-standing debate among Americans. And I, sort of just referenced that debate. Is the problem racism, or is the problem Black people? And anti-racist intellectuals have made the case that the racial groups are equals. There's nothing superior or inferior about any racial group. And racist intellectuals have said, no, the problem, the cause of disparities is Black people, is something wrong with them. And so we chronicle those racist ideas over the course of history that have problematized Black people as opposed to policies.
All right, the book is called Stamped from the Beginning, a graphic history of racist ideas in America. Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.